Welcome to the HuntFishTravel podcast, the first and longest running female hosted hunting podcast. Even though she's been living out of a tent in a compulsive need to cook over an open fire and sleep on an air mattress, she's ready to help you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome back to HuntFishTravel podcast. I'm here with Patrick Flanigan. We're going to talk about probably random things, because we never stay on topic.
Doesn't matter what you want to talk about. We probably won't talk about it.
Probably not. Yeah, when I hunted in Platte, South Dakota, which is just a little bit southwest. And
right.
It was completely different, like you said, than the Black Hills. But I tell people that South Dakota is my favorite out of non-Wisconsin state to hunt. And I never even killed the turkey that year, and I never even killed the mule deer that year. And it's still my favorite state to hunt. No lie.
Why is that?
It's gorgeous. Like you said, there's a lot of game. People are super friendly. They're just, I don't know, I felt real comfortable there, even though I got lost overnight in the wilderness, whatever. Both times I had, minus that one night, really good experiences.
Wait a second, what, you got lost?
Didn't I ever tell you that story?
I don't know anything about you. Is this during our turkey hunt?
Oh my God, no.
I don't know the story. You should definitely tell me the story. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, so, and for the listeners who've probably already heard this story, sorry, you can skip forward 10 minutes. So in 2014, I went out to Platte, South Dakota. I went out there with an outfitter, and the second night that I was there, I went down to hunt by this water hole. They were right by this humongous canyon, and I was feeling pretty comfortable with where I was. And I went down that night to hunt this water hole, and I didn't take a lot of stuff with me because I was only going to be down there for like 2 hours, and these two freaking small bucks came out and they were dicking around, and I didn't want to spook them out of there. So I waited and waited and waited. And then I got up and I was like, wow, it's kind of dark out here.
Yeah,
this could be a problem. So I'm trying to find, because there's like two little paths, to head up the side of these freaking canyons. And it got dark like fast. So
yep.
And the canyon, how you have like these like mini ridges all over where they're just like these big hills. So I'm up and down and up and down and up and down. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I've completely turned myself around. I had my compass and I was like, well, I know I'm straight north of here. However, all you have to do is take 4 steps west, and north is completely different than where your actual, where you think you're going. So
correct.
Turned myself all around. And I was like, this sucks. For like 2 hours, I'm wandering around. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, I better call them and be like, can somebody just come up and just like honk their horn so I know which direction to walk in? And I go to open my phone and the thing dies on me. I'm like,
wow, really?
I'm like, I'm screwed. Crap. Well,
you're going to die.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, damn it. And I'm like, well, what did my dad always teach us growing up? If you get lost, pop squat, somebody will come looking for you. Yet no one came to look for me. So I'm like hanging out, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm spending the night out here. And I'm like, it's not that bad. It's like 55 degrees or something. And my thermocell, I had a thermocell, and I had like half a butane, and that was gone by like 11 o'clock or whatever. And I'm like, and then the mosquitoes were just atrocious. So I'm like, well, I got to figure something out. So I went around and I like grabbed up just tons of handfuls of grass. And I'm like, well, I'll just try to get a little bit of sleep, and I'll just cover myself in grass so they can't get at me. And it worked out pretty well. I was like, all right, I'm kind of proud of myself here. And I'm laying there and I'm starting to doze off, and thunder peals off in the distance over the river. Oh. And I'm like, And I sat up and I looked at the thunder clouds that were coming at me, were like something out of a movie. And I was like, are you shitting me? This sucks. And it just started pouring on me. So then I was in like my summer hunting clothes, and then it got cold, and I'm like, this sucks. I gotta find my way back to the truck. So needless to say, I finally made it back to my truck at about 10:30 the next morning. and I wandered and I just walked because I was like, I just got to keep moving. Otherwise, I can't sit down, and up and down these hills and all over the place. And there was a point where I was like, I did make it up out of the canyon, but I was so far off of where I thought I was. I was like, oh, my truck has got to be this way. And it was completely the opposite way. I mean, completely the opposite way. Like,
Right.
I went left and I should have gone right. So then I'm like out and I don't even know where I am. And I'm like following like cattle trails because I'm like, oh, these trails must lead back to a farmer's house. I could just knock on the door and be like, I'm so embarrassed. I got lost. Can you just tell me where I am? No. Cattle trails in South Dakota are completely different than cattle trails in Wisconsin. They go nowhere. I mean, nowhere. They go nowhere. Like an hour and a half later, I'm like, where the F am I? Seriously, where am I? And like,
Welcome to Nebraska.
Seriously, right? Oh my gosh. And it sucked so bad. And I was just, I don't know. So go ahead.
Wait a second now. At what point, though, were you like, why is nobody coming to look? Where's the search party? Who are you hunting with?
Yeah.
I would have been a little like,
yeah.
I mean, I've been lost up in the hills. That was a scary experience. But, did you at any point get a little like, okay, somebody's got to come looking for me?
So about 6:30 in the morning when the sun first started coming up, right? I'm in somebody's field somewhere. Can't even see the other side, but I'm wandering around and I'm like, all right, the sun's coming up. I'm like, I'm going to climb up to some hill and I'm going to be able to look and face the river and be able to see where I am and figure out where I get to go. And the sun came up and it was just nothing but pea soup fog. And I was like, shit, this sucks. So I was like I wasn't really in tears, but I was like, this sucks. And my phone starts making this buzzing noise. Like it's buzzing every 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh, they're looking for me. They're trying to ping my phone. This is great. They're using the GPS or something. Yet, right. No, it was just my phone being weird. Must have got wet or something. No one was looking for me.
You'll be fine. For a week.
So I made it back to I ended up 6.5 miles west of where my truck was. Some guy gave me a ride back. I come walking up there and I saw that they were looking for me. So it was 10:41. I remember 10:41 I made it to my truck. 10 o'clock is when they started looking. 10 o'clock is when they started looking for me. 10 a.m.
10 o'clock, 10 a.m. I was going to say the next morning.
Yeah.
So that whole night you just kind of fooled around up there? And
I did. I just walked. Yep. I just walked trying to find my way out, just wandering and because it rained. It didn't stop raining until like 2 o'clock the next afternoon. It poured on me the entire time. It sucked so bad.
Well, you got like the Wild West Indian South Dakota experience. I mean, it's like Dancing with Wolves all over again. You got like
as much as
stuff.
I know, and as much as it sucked that it rained all night, it was probably a good thing because I don't know. There's so many wild animals up there. I mean,
no kidding.
Seriously, I know they have bison and cougars and wolves and shit, and all it would have taken was me running into one of them. I'd have been screwed because I was exhausted, dehydrated, beat down. And it sucked so bad. And then the whole next day, so I went to bed and like when I woke up, I couldn't barely move. Every muscle was so just annihilated. Cause you're trying, you've been in them canyons and stuff. You're trying to like climb out of them or whatever. And they're almost like straight up. And all I had was this teeny tiny little like headlamp. But thank God for it. But I would go and it would be pouring so hard. And I would take like 6 steps and I would see the edge of like the hill. And I couldn't see if it was a drop off or if it was a gradual slope. So, it was so frustrating. And it figures.
Did you have any snacks? Did you have any food? Like
I did not.
Snack, water? No water?
I had 1 bottle of water and I had that gone by midnight. So I just. Yeah.
You've never told me this story. And I've never heard the story. It's one of those deals where I want to be like, oh, that's horrible, but yet it's kind of a cool experience.
I'm like, dude, I'm a badass. I got up that next morning. So the next day, Have you seen that photo on Facebook? It's a photo of the canyon. You can see the river in the distance, and I'm sitting there, and you just see my blonde hair. I'll send it to you if you don't know which one I'm talking about. And I'm just like looking out over the canyon. And I remember, so the story actually means more to me than, I don't know if I ever told the listeners this either. So I had a hysterectomy on September 30th, 2013. 1 year to the day I got lost in that canyon. And I made it out fine. And I was just like sitting there and I'm like, I'm kind of proud of myself right now. Like after the hell I went through the year before, you know, if that had been a year before that, I'd have been dead. No lie. But
right.
So I was
that's
like,
crazy. That is, well, yeah, but that's a neat, but you know, that's, if you think about it, yeah, you know, you were out there, it's scary for a little while, but after, I mean, I've been lost. I got lost up in the hills for 2 days. And,
so you know.
And I just went off on this little voyage. I decided I was going to walk back into the hills after I bought my land up there. And I went up there and started walking, and all of a sudden, everything started to look the same. And I'm thinking, I don't need a compass. I don't need whatever. My cell phone don't work up here. I got this. You know, no problem. No, I did have it. And I'll tell you what, it was me out in the middle of the hills with mountain lions and all sorts of other beautiful predators that would love to eat my precious body. And but you know, yeah, at certain points it was scary. And then after a little while, you just kind of settle into it. Your body just kind of adapts and you're like, all right, stop freaking out and just keep walking. You know, I know they say stay still, but my thought always is that, you know, nobody knew I was up there doing it. I didn't even tell people I was up there. And my thought is that nobody's going to come looking for me, so I might as well go looking for somebody. Right,
exactly. And didn't you feel after that 2 days when you were done, you were like, I feel quite accomplished. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, but you know, for me, it took me a while to admit that I got lost up there because I knew then I would not be allowed to ever go up there by myself again. So, between my mother and my wife, I was like, no, you're never going alone. So, but no, in my mind, I just, I mean, I felt like I was out there and I was on this camping trip that I simply was unprepared to be on. And, but you make do. I mean, you
do.
Yeah, you owned it.
You do. And so I don't know how many people were like, at what point did you start crying? And I'm like, it never occurred to me to start crying. Number one, I was already dehydrated. I needed to keep my moisture inside of me. And number two, what would that have accomplished? To curl up in a fetal position and, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. I'm like, it sucked. But, I mean, all you have to do is just make it till day. You know, you just got to make it till the daytime and then figure out where you are. You figure it out.
I think that's the key is, you know, people get in those situations. People panic, they freak out, and then that's where the things get bad. If you keep your head and just slow down and realize that you aren't dead yet. So, you know what I mean? Just go at it.
And you're right.
This is great. This is turning into like a survival show. We can totally make this. Don't forget to drink your urine. And
create that bow sling so you can start a fire and not get hypothermia like I did.
Yeah. I mean, we should maybe think about promoting survival tips. I'll Google it and start reading some off here. We can take a turn here.
And people they don't know how far they can be pushed. I mean, they don't know. Although I will admit, it would have been so easy to just, by like 4 or 5 a.m., I was just exhausted. And it would have been so easy to just like curl up under a tree and die of hypothermia, no lie. Because it got cold. It got really cold.
Sure.
But whatever.
What time of year were you up there?
It was...
What time of year was it?
It was, I think... It was October 1st. So, and it wasn't bad during the day, but like when the nighttime hit, it got cold. And then the rain just made it worse.
Yep. No, that's, you know, in anywhere in the Midwest, but South Dakota especially, they're definitely one of those states that come October 1st, you could be like, you feel like you're in January.
Yeah, you know? It was cold. And it was, I mean, and when I looked up the temperature, it was only like 42 or whatever. But still, that's freaking cold when you're in. I just had like summer hunting pants and like one of them Bugskins shirts on. and tennis shoes. I didn't even have my hiking boots. I had my tennis shoes on.
So did you, I'm just curious, did you ask anybody when you got back? I just because I'm that kind of person that I would like to ask my friends, did you ask them to say, how long were you let me, when were you going to send out the search party? Knowing that was kind of like and I'm not saying that that's anybody's fault. Maybe they just thought that you were like roughing and toughing it. Who knows? But did they have concern at all? Did they go, oh my goodness?
So I wasn't there with anybody. There was one other guy hunting the ranch.
Oh.
And he actually left at 4 a.m. He had a family emergency. And I did ask him, like, so when you got up at 4 a.m. to leave and you noticed my truck wasn't there, it didn't, he was like,
right.
He's like, I didn't know where you were. So I just figured you're a big girl. You can handle yourself. I'm like, okay, thanks. So,
me too.
Thanks anyway. And in all fairness, every night I did check in with them. I didn't check in that night. They said they assumed that I just went out to dinner or something, which is very reasonable. And the lodge that I was staying in is completely separate from the house. So they might not even have known what time I got back.
Right.
So, and
that happens. I mean,
yeah.
I know for us, our hunters, they come in and, it's not a prison or a camp. I mean,
yeah.
If they want to go out in the evening after dinner, they want, we have all our activities usually at the ranch, but if they want to take off, that's not, what do we do about that? We're not going to,
Yeah.
But if they weren't there after a point in the morning, I think we'd start, where are they? So,
yeah.
But, I didn't know that story. I'm glad you told me that. That's I'd say gives you like a man card. You've got a man card.
That's funny because so many people are like, well, that's why you should never hunt without a man. And I'm like, really? Because that had just been one more person for me to worry about. It was okay that I was by myself and just handling it. When you add in another person, that means that's the possibility of two broke people to break their legs or twist an ankle. Or I'm like, no, I was fine.
Well,
thanks.
It would have been fun if it would have been me and you and Mike McGrew.
Oh my God. Because we would have been hunting in the middle of the night or something. Calling in turkeys.
What do you guys want to do? Give me a roost right above us. Just call me, Mike. We got this. We would have at some point went, that would have been actually, you know what would have been really cool though, is and in those moments though, you obviously, I didn't think about this, but now looking back, I wish that in that moment, I would have had my GoPro with me or some of my video cameras. So I kind of filmed what took place up there and or even have my GPS where I could turn my GPS on at some point once I realized I was getting lost and kind of saw where I went, what I did, and I probably walked in 100 circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So, but, it's kind of one of those deals where you never expect it to happen. So obviously,
I know.
But
I did take a little video because I had my little Pentax, my little waterproof Pentax along, and the video you can't see me because it's dark, but it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, well, here I am. My dumb ass got lost out here. I'm never gonna live this down.
Did you at all start psyching yourself out thinking about the Blair Witch Project or anything like that?
No, I did not. I'm so not I have zero fear. Zero. Oh my gosh. So that stuff never occurred to me. And because I was so focused on, okay, let's try and find my way out of here and not, freeze to death, that I just didn't even think about animals or anything really.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, you can't freak out. You kept your head in, and here we are today doing a blog about it.
I know.
Best story ever.
I know. It's crazy.
Next time, leave a note on your car. Let everybody know where you're at.
I know.
Well, that was one of the things that I was always taught was this. I did a survival course up at Fox Valley Tech. I don't know how many years ago now, but I did this course, and it was kind of fun. But one of the things they always taught, one of the things that they promoted in to do when you go out on these little hunting trips or camping trips or hiking trips, especially if nobody knows, that you took off like I did. leave a note on your vehicle. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, I plan on being back here by no later than tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? That kind of gives people a sense of, what's this vehicle doing. So, I mean, a little over the top. We don't think about that stuff when we go out on a hunt.
You don't. Know? And I'm so stupid because I was being so cheap because the hunt was expensive. It was a considerable amount of money that I was shelling out for this. It was my first big hunt on my own. And
sure.
I was going to get one of those spot radios, where your family can actually track where you are. And I was checking in with my husband every night. And then that night I didn't call. And he said, I felt like something was wrong, but it didn't. I had 2 years before that, I had yelled at him a bunch of times for quit pestering me while I'm hunting. And apparently he listened because he didn't he was like, if I hadn't heard from you by noon, I was going to call him call somebody or something. And I was like, I kind of wish you had thought about that at midnight, but it's okay. But you know what I mean? He was like, I figured you were exhausted. You came back and went to bed and just didn't call me or something, fell asleep or something, which is very plausible. And then I felt bad because he felt bad.
What you said to him is, honey, the lesson is here. Don't listen to me.
Right.
Don't ever. That's what I would say. I mean,
just don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
Listen to anything I tell you. Especially in a situation like that one.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah. You know what? All those things are experiences that you'll remember and you learn from, and it's a kind of
it's fun.
Obviously, it's never fun to get lost, but it's a cool experience. It is fun.
And
to be honest, I mean, it's I had not at one point ever freaked out. The only thing I freaked out a little bit about was that I didn't have any water.
Yeah.
So I decided to start playing Lone Survivor up there or something, and I started drinking water out of this little creek, and I have never been more sick in my life. So again, it's just one of those things, though. It's an experience, and hey, it is your wild world. So
yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
You owned it.
That's crazy. So 2 whole days, though. That's insane. That's a lot longer than I did. How did you?
But for the first day, I mean, I don't think I was lost. The first day, I was up there with the intent of backpacking, and my idea was that I was going to walk over to this old ghost town way back in behind where my property was. It's called Carbonite Mine. And somebody had told me about all these artifacts. They're still foundations from these old, it's a kind of a ghost town way up in the hills that I guess you can Google it actually and find out what this was. It was this kind of like a deadwood during the same time and era, but it just folded. I mean, the place turned into a ghost town. And that was my mission. I just wanted to find that. So it was supposed to be so close to where I was at. And this is coming from my buddy who's a historian. Well, I know you didn't meet Kevin, but he's an historian up in Deadwood, and he told me all about this. He knows I'm obsessed with Western history, so of course he tell me that stuff. You tell me anything, I'm gonna go looking for it. So I went looking for it, and it started getting dark, and I started walking back the way I thought I came. But now I'm 5.5 hours in there already, but I got my flashlights and stuff, and I'm just gonna trek back. And once it gets dark, everything changes. And next thing you know, I've been walking a while, and I'm not going past this rock formation that I should be by now, and I'm not going by this big down tree that was laying across this trail. There's something's wrong here. So I got spun around, and then it was about 3 a.m. of the following morning, so another 24 hours plus, that I think it was about the time I got back to my truck. So maybe a day and a half.
That's a long time.
I never stopped walking.
Yeah.
Never stopped walking the whole entire time.
You just can't. You just gotta, because otherwise you sit there and you get bored, and then your mind starts focusing on what could be happening or what,
Right. Well, and I can't stand the mountain lion thing. That is to me one of the ultimate predators in North America, and you have no advantage on a mountain lion when you're up in the Black Hills at dark, that alone during the day. Yeah. And so in my mind, I thought about that a couple different times, but I was weighted down with some lead. I had my revolver, I had a pistol, not that, whatever, if I would have even seen it happen. But I started thinking about, now I think mountain lions can carry 3 times their body weight up into a tree. So I'm doing the math. I'm like, how big would that mountain lion have to be to carry me up into a tree? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much any mountain lion can carry me in a tree. So,
right. Yeah.
But I don't think I ever freaked out. I just kept walking.
Yep. I hear you. How did you end up getting back? Did you eventually end up circling around, or?
Actually, it was a rock formation, the one I referenced. It was, again, I went through an entire day, and I realized at one point, when it finally got light out, I actually sat down and snoozed for a while, and I had my phone off because I knew I wasn't getting any reception. So I would turn my phone on, and I was contemplating doing this emergency thing on there where even if you don't have signal, I think it'll put out some kind of emergency signal on these iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, nah. And I'm trying to download apps like compasses and stuff. I was trying like, wait a minute, I can't even make a phone call. I'm trying to get on Google or the iTunes app store. And I'm like, what am I doing? And so I shut it off, and I don't know. I probably said about 100 prayers and just said, hey, you know what? Yep. I just laid back, took a snooze. And when it's light out, your brain, you're fine. And then I got up and walked again after resting a little bit, and I realized that I just kept going. Well, to give you an idea where I went, I would have came in from the north, and I ended up miles and miles. I can't remember how far it would have been, but I ended up close to the town of Spearfish, which is I'm up off of Maitland. So anybody up in the hills that know that area know. Well, you came up there by my property.
Yep.
And so I started just going south on my original journey, and then I eventually ended up going west all the way over to Spearfish, which that road Maitland connects to about 10 miles down is Spearfish. And I came out onto Maitland at one point around, 1 o'clock in the morning or so finally, and I realized I finally got to a road, and I'm walking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see lights. And I could see a light on a house, and I'm not going to go knock on the door. I just kept walking, and I kind of figured it out. And I'm like, oh, I'm on Maitland. This is the road that my property's on. So then I was good.
That's hilarious.
So, I took a heck of a trek, and it's a good time. You should have been there.
Apparently. South Dakota, people getting lost. Wisconsinites getting lost in South Dakota left and right.
Right? You never knew how dangerous South Dakota was until you heard from us. So
I'm going to be able to cut this episode into 2 different episodes. I'm going to literally name it Wisconsinites Getting Lost in South Dakota. The second one.
Who cares about the stinking ranch? Let's talk about getting lost.
I know, right? Exactly.
I kind of feel like we should retell our stories a little bit, maybe add to them. So I was up there after I killed the first 18 mountain lions. I couldn't fight anymore, and I was all commando and Tarzan at the same time. But maybe we should. I think our stories were strong enough. After I battled the alien Predator, in Predator, he was chasing me around the canyon, but I outsmarted him in the mud. Vision. Yeah, but I rolled around in the mud in the rain, and it was all good, and I evaded capture. Yeah, but he made these weird cooking noises. It was sound like a movie? It's gonna be one. We should absolutely retell our entire story, just in case some producer someday hears this. I could make it a little bit more. Oh my gosh! I got attacked by mountain people and zombie apocalypse. You're like, and that what was the Bigfoot? Yeah. I got chased by a yeti down the trail. That's why I got lost. Geez, I was just running headlong. Yep. and that's where our journey starts, folks. Oh my listeners are like, what in the blue hell are they talking about? Okay. Obviously, we need random drug tests. We can do blogs. Right. Well, what else? Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this up? You can mention UFOs.
wasn't really a thunderstorm. It was a UFO, and that's why I was running and upset and scared. But I didn't want to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for busting me out.
It wasn't lightning. It was like light spinning in circles. It looked a lot like lightning. You should probably put these on at like 2 a.m. so people are able to understand what we're talking about.
Totally, because the people that will get it, I'm going to only like send this link out to like 5 people and be like, you're crazy enough to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And you should share this with all the clubs that you belong to that look for UFOs and stuff. Because we were abducted by UFOs.
That's right.
And Bigfoot.
That's right. Because normally we would not get lost. Just an FYI, just to make that clear. We were not, obviously, not under the influence of alien intervention.
Yep. I was picked up by an alien aircraft and then dropped 10 miles from where my truck was.
And I managed to make it back.
I wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, now I glow in the dark.
Right.
And what happened up there?
Oh my God.
It wasn't the water in the creek. It was the alien abduction.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Question: do you have so now with your different programs and stuff like that? Now, do you ever, like, when you go places and stuff like that? Do you do them from there, or do you always do them like specifically from like home, or when you do your podcast, you do them on like the site and stuff, right?
Yeah, I totally do. I have a portable device. Like, all my ATA interviews are on the floor, and sometimes I do them on location. It's hard though sometimes, because usually by the time you go to sit down and have the chance to do a podcast episode, everybody's exhausted. Right. Nobody really wants to chat for a half an hour. But I have
Were you
done.
At the NRA show?
I was not. I was at ATA this year, and that's it.
No,
I heard it was okay. No.
I ever since I kind of decided to just take a little break, I haven't gone to the SHOT Show now in I think 2 years, and I haven't gone to the NRA show in 2 years. And it's not that I don't support the stuff. I just need to take a break from craziness. And for me, when you take a break, I'm not going to play Brett Favre with it, where you retire and you come back.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a SHOT Show and have a bunch of people ask me a bunch of questions. Like why?
Yes.
Where you been? What you been up to? What's going on with you? And so I just dodge that a little bit. And, but
nothing wrong with that.
One thing I'll tell you, and we won't have enough time probably to put this into play. It was a really cool project. I'm completely coming back in full 4-wheel drive. I'm off road and coming in 2017. I've never spent more time, other than when I first started, practicing my shooting as much as I'm doing right now.
Really?
And and here's what triggered this. It's kind of the weirdest thing, but obviously my passion will never go away. Just physically, I think my arm and stuff was having issues, is still having issues. But I'm doing this this project that I was talking to a producer buddy about putting together, and we're going to try to run it it's going to be basically 4 30-minute episodes, and we're going to co-do it with the Sportsman's Channel and try to get this done. We haven't signed anything yet, so I haven't said anything about it. But basically, it's going to be this neat timeline of where I started. I've got all this old footage of my first practices and all my world records and everything and stuff like that. And as we're putting this together, I had the most ridiculous, I'd say probably sentimental moments. I mean, there was moments where I was watching stuff and just crying, because I missed the relationships, the people, and all that stuff when I did this full time. And when you look and you see some of your accomplishments, and this is all hindsight 2020 stuff and whatever, but you kind of go, geez, I wish I would have been better about this. I wish I would have maintained that particular relationship with that sponsor better. And I was too full of myself at that time, or too arrogant at that time, to really appreciate the moment that I was experiencing in my life. And I didn't take enough time to slow down and appreciate it. So I think that's what really got me, sentimental value-wise, it got me in watching some of these videos that we had filmed. But the thing that really made me say, I'm going to just go hardcore, give it all I got, the best I could ever possibly give. And if it flops, it flops. and I'm going to just make it a solely just Patrick Flanigan, not this combo thing. And God bless, the young lady that I'm working with this year and having her do some stuff. But, and I want to get out. I'm going to promote it. I want to break 2 of my biggest world records. I'm going to break them. I just have to in my mind. And I just want to give it just this one, everything. I never feel like, I don't feel like I ever really gave it my absolute best. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, of course. You're a different person than you were back then.
Right. And my passion is different than it was back then. And I don't feel like I ever really applied all of me to what I did. And so I'm going to do it. And, I'm going to you'll see some stuff. I'll be coming up on Facebook and stuff. There's some really cool, passion, we're calling passion promotions. And just about, when your passion, feels like it was lost, but then when you discover your passion, it's like 10 times stronger than it was when you first discovered it. If that makes any sense at all.
It does, because you appreciate the passion more than you did when you were younger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The maturity level is different.
Right. I'm going to be 38 years old.
All right. Well, tell the listeners where they can find out more about you, more about the wing shooting school.
The Jim River Ranch and the wing shooting school fall underneath the Jim River Ranch webpage, which is just jimriverranch.com, or my webpage, which is patrickflanigan.com. And, all the links for our Twitters and Facebook's all right there. So just check out those pages and get on there and take a peek at everything that they've got to offer at the ranch and some of the exciting things that the ranch and myself have coming up. So we appreciate the support.
Heck yeah. I'll link to them all in the show notes, but hopefully people will go and check it out. All right.
Bigfoot.
Oh my God. And UFOs.
I just want to put it in there.
And that'll do it. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to find the show on iTunes. Just search for HuntFishTravel, all one word. Hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on social media. Just go to huntfishtravel.net and click on the social media icon of your choice. Thank you for listening.
Can I tell you about this time that I got abducted by a UFO and they probed me? I've never been the same. It's a hard story to tell, but let me give you the long version.
Oh my god! I'm so cutting that out, and I'm gonna put that as after the outro music. I'm just gonna stick that on the end for an Easter egg.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. You're gonna have to.
Right.
With this interview that we just conducted, either A, we're both gonna end up in a mental institution, or B, if it's delicately cut up with the great music, we might have something.
Dude, so, I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, ooh, my editing skills are going to be tested in this one. However, I'm going to freaking rock this.
Yeah. I might be getting tested, but I'm going to own it. So.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, all right. Well, thank you again for coming on.